Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. If you're new to my channel, my name is Megan and I'm so glad that you came by today because this is my weekly garden tour and harvest. What I love to do on this channel is give a weekly garden tour video and harvest because I want to show you the progress. I want to show you what has worked, what hasn't worked, and more importantly, I want to show you what I actually harvest right in my backyard. So let's get started. Now, before we go in the back and start harvesting and I show you all of what's going on, we are going to go in my garage and take a quick peek at the fall starts. All right, friends, so here are all of the starts, you guys. These are doing so amazing. These are all of the lettuces. So this is the Petit Romaine. Then I have Jericho in here. I have to separate these though because lettuce seeds, you guys, are just so tiny. So I knew I was going to have a lot in one square. And then this is actually a new one. I shared this with you all last week. It is called the Uticule. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I got that from Baker's Creek from an order I placed. They gave that as a free seed. So these are doing amazing. And then the kale is doing really good. I do have to separate a couple. And then there's a few that just didn't germinate, so I might throw some more in there. And then down here, it doesn't really look like much. I will say things were going really good, as you saw in the video last week. And while some are growing beautifully, you can see a lot of the Swiss chard is doing really good. Some of the cabbages. This one is actually a new variety. It kind of reminds me of a Swiss chard a little bit. I'm trying to see what, it's something called, let me see what the name is. Hold on one second. So the name of this is the Amaranth Pink Beauty. I had seen the picture on the seed pack and I'm like, this is really pretty, so I wanted to grow some. But for the most part, I feel like everything is doing pretty good. I think because we had a few really hot days, some of my starts just weren't looking too good. And so I had to start a few over. And even though I have an attached garage and I do have an AC unit in here, it just didn't help. I mean, for the most part, some of them are doing pretty good. But we'll just have to keep a very close eye on all of these starts. Before we go outside, I did want to show you this tray real quick. This is what I plan to put some of the snap peas in, and I might even put some green beans in here because I've had some bug issues outside. And so I just wanted to show you I got this ready, and I plan to put some in here tonight. And for those that want to know, the apple dwarf trees are doing pretty good. Still nothing, but as you can see, it looks very healthy. For the most part, I keep these watered. We've had some rainwater, so that's been really good. The leaves look really nice and green. I don't see any apples or flower buds or anything like that, but so far so good, you guys. I'm still really happy that we have them right here, and hopefully it won't be long until we get something from these. All right, friends, so I am on this side of the garden. We're gonna just start from here like we have been doing every week and work our way down. Look at how pretty that sun is right there. Isn't that pretty? I did want to come over here and show you what I did recently do just yesterday. So I planted all of my fall potatoes. I feel like I planted them maybe a smidgen late, a week late, but it's okay. Hopefully we'll get something. Now these bags are new. These are actually meant for potatoes because they're much taller than say your normal grow bags. And so I have not tried these yet, and I'm hoping that these work really well. I did put the Happy Frog from Fox Farm soil. I've been using this soil this summer, you guys, and I'm really liking this a lot. And then of course, I love my black cow compost. This is like my favorite right here. So I do have the Happy Frog potting soil in here, and we'll just have to keep an eye on these and see how well they do. And then I top it off with some straw just to protect the soil from getting you know, in case there's rain, that it doesn't pound on the soil and I lose soil. And speaking of potatoes, my 2 green stalks, I did plant potatoes in there as well. You can see there's actually a few sprouts, which is from previous potatoes that I think that were accidentally left in here, which is one of the reasons why I designate certain green stalks for certain things like potatoes and onions and garlic and so forth. But hopefully we'll have some potatoes to harvest in the fall. All right, let's go ahead now and check the peppers. Now I did come in here, look at these bees. Sorry you guys, I don't know if you noticed on this channel, sometimes I tend to get sidetracked a little bit, but look at those bees. Oh, I think one ran away. Oh, he went to a different flower. Isn't that sweet? That flower is, this is a dahlia. I forgot the name of the color of this dahlia, but it is absolutely beautiful. Now I did come in here earlier this week and did a little bit of cleaning. A lot of these cosmos, you can see I put them up against a bamboo stick and kind of tied them on there because they were just hanging completely over and it was driving me bonkers. So I did a little bit of cleaning and then propped a few of the pepper plants up so I can easily, you can see a lot of the mushroom peppers. I can see them better. I can harvest them once they turn red. It's just a lot cleaner and a little bit neater. Now, before we start harvesting, I don't want to forget this. So the peppers over here that I thought were mulatto isleno, because this is a new variety and I got so busy and I did a lot more varieties this year than I think I've ever done before maybe. They're really supposed to look like this and they're purple, you guys. I completely mixed them up and thought they were these. So now I'm starting to wonder if the mulatto islenos are probably, I don't know what they are. Because if they were the shishitos, when the shishitos turn red, they got a little bit of a kick to it. And these, when they turn red, they're very sweet. So I'm not really sure if I mixed up seed or if that seed packet is wrong. I am not really sure. I know last year I felt like some of the seeds that I grew that there might have been a mix up in the packets because it just didn't seem right. So yeah, I just had to share that because I didn't want you guys still thinking that that was mulatto isleno. These little guys right here, they're completely not. Now I don't know what these are and I will try my hardest to figure it out, but let's go ahead and harvest them. All right, looks like we have a lot of sweet bananas, but they're clearly not ready. These are a lot of little babies, so we're gonna leave those there. But I do have pepperoncini. Let me see, I don't think there's any more though. Let me see this one. No, that one's not the right one. You guys, I think what I'm gonna do next year, I think I'm gonna actually add another pepper to each square, maybe even do 4, because I don't feel like they fight for nutrients, but I also think that the more that could be put in the square, the more they can help support one another. There are some bell peppers over here, but they're still, no, that's not a bell pepper. This one is still growing, and I think there might have been one more, I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and go on the other side. We got another bell pepper right there, but that one's not ready. Now, I am very excited. I feel like the poblanos are starting to really blossom. Now, this one is the Napoleon Sweet right here. But I thought for some reason this one was supposed to be a little bit different. We're gonna go ahead and harvest this. I'm just gonna let it sit on the counter and see if it changes color. And this little red mushroom, I'm gonna take this one too. These are really delicious, you guys. I actually, the ones that I did harvest, I let them turn a little bit more red on the counter. They weren't super red, but they were very sweet and they're very delicious. I like these a lot. All right, you guys, I feel like we're getting a lot of bell peppers. These two are still fairly small, so I'm gonna hold off on those. But I did see this one, and this one looks pretty good to take. So I'm really happy to grab this one. Now this one is the Cali Wonder 300. I don't know what the difference is between 300 and just Cali Wonder, but it's a 300. So, and I'm happy that I was able to harvest it. And it looks like there's some more on here, and hopefully we can get a whole lot more before the summer is over. And of course we got some Hungarian yellow wax, which has been really, really, really nice. I feel like between those and the sweet banana, so there's more right here, we have had quite a bit. which really gets me excited. And then I'm really happy to say that we finally have a really nice sized poblano pepper to harvest. I said this before, I feel like sometimes it takes a while for these to start growing, but once they do, they start to produce pretty quickly for me. All right, look what we have. We have a Joe New Mix pepper and we have the Jimmy Nardello. So Jimmy Nardello is officially one of my favorite peppers now. I want to actually grow this every year. It is sweet. I love the way it scrunches and the way it grows. It's just a fun pepper. This looks like it could be a little bracelet. It's just a really fun pepper. So this is definitely going to be on my pepper list every year. There's another poblano right there. I'm not going to grab that one. I think it could grow just a bit more, but I think we're going to be harvesting a lot of these soon, hopefully. And look at that bell pepper down there, Golden Sunshine. I'm telling you, these are wonderful peppers, you guys. They've been a really good pepper. And I love the color because it's just so different. It's not, you know, your usual bright orange yellow. It's like kind of a little light yellow color. It's really pretty. I've really enjoyed these this summer. Now let's take a look at this pepper bed. Now we finally do have our first red cayenne pepper. Oh, look at the cosmos, you guys. Here we go again. Veering off. Isn't that pretty though? It's such a pretty flower. It's my first time growing cosmos. Very pretty. All right, so back to the peppers. So I finally have my first red cayenne. Look at how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh, is this pretty? So what I do with my cayennes is I freeze dry them and I just keep them for whether I want to powder them or whatever I want to use them for. So I'm really, really happy. And then the GREENSTALK is actually growing some too, and hopefully I'll be harvesting from those in the next couple weeks. Oh, look at you guys. Do you see all those cayennes right there? Look at all that. Oh, wow. Look at you guys. You grow. Oh, I love it. And there's a bunch on here. So I'm really hoping that I can harvest a lot of those before the summer ends. And then just to give you an update, look at all these little Tabasco. I think these are the, no. Yeah, these are the little Tabasco peppers. Very exciting. This is the first time I ever grew these, so hopefully we'll be harvesting those. I think they have to turn red first, and hopefully we'll be harvesting those soon too. All right, look at these baby shishitos, you guys. I don't know, I can't talk. Shishitos this year, in the bed anyways, are not doing the best, but they are doing really good in the bags back there. I can't wait to show you guys the bags in the back because I thought for sure those weren't really going to give me much. And now look at how much they're thriving back there. So we'll go there in just a second. Look at all the Santa Fe Grandes. So these are hot peppers. I'm not going to harvest these yet, but there's a lot of them and there's flowers. Now this one, I think this one is the Anaheim chili. Let me check. Yep, this is the Anaheim chili. Now I do want this to get a little bit longer, so we're going to keep that on there. And then look at these guys. I want to say, gosh, this looks like a poblano. Yeah, this is the Ancho Grande. So we have one here. You see what I mean though? I feel like this took a while, but now they're starting to produce. You can see there's a flower right here. I feel like we're going to be harvesting quite a bit of those soon, so that's good. And then let's go take a peek over here. See what I mean about the cosmos? They're just kind of like all over the place, which is why I put them up on bamboo sticks, because they just kind of get in the way. Look at that. Surprise, surprise, another Golden Sunshine. I'm really liking these. I'm so happy. These have been pretty consistent. See, this is why I love to do garden tours on a weekly basis, so that you can actually see how much I'm harvesting right in my backyard. And it's not like I have, you know, acres and acres of land to grow food. It's literally right in my backyard. And to me, this right here makes me very happy. All right, we got another Hungarian yellow. Yes, please. Thank you very much. All right, we do have quite a bit of jalapenos, so let's go ahead and grab these. I'm gonna grab this one. So I do have two different types. I have the early jalapeno, and then I have the traveler strain jalapeno. Honestly, not really sure what the difference is. I just bought both of them, and they're both producing, so that's all that matters. Here's another angle of the jalapeno peppers. You can see some of the buds and some little baby jalapenos. Very nice to see. Oh, look, you guys, here's all these serranos over here. I didn't even see these. And there's more growing over here. Let's go ahead. You guys, I still have serranos from last year because I want to make a really large batch of something. And I think I found a recipe for some sort of a serrano hot sauce, but I haven't made up my mind yet. Oh, and look at all these little babies right here. See all those? They're all right here. Serranos do pretty good for me. Which is why I want to find a really good recipe, because I'm probably going to be growing those every year just because they do so good for me. Now let's take a look at the palette back here. Now, if you guys have been watching my tours, you remember how bare this was. They looked like this, but even skinnier, but you can even see here, even with a smaller plant, how much green growth has grown on these. And I know the rain has helped, but look at all this. And I know that moving this around really made a big difference. But you guys, look at these peppers. These are looking gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead and just harvest whatever I see. All right, friends, there was a lot of peppers, and I actually harvested a lot of serranos back there. This is actually kind of surprising me. Each bag, by the way, unless it's a really small bag, I have 2 pepper plants per bag, but I am super happy and very surprised at how many peppers I got from this. So just wanted to share that with you, but it is starting to get gray out because for some reason, I don't know, I guess there might be a storm rolling in. I heard some thunder in the background, but since we're over here on this side, I do want to give you a little bit of an update. So I haven't really talked about these a whole lot. These are my sweet potatoes. They're in really large bags. There's 3. I think they're 25-gallon grow bags, if I remember, and I propped them up with rocks and was trying to get very creative over here. I had extra slips. I have not really thoroughly checked to see, I know they're not ready to harvest, but I haven't really thoroughly checked to see how big they are. But since we're back, I just want to show you those as well as some of the pallets back here. You can see a lot of the green beans did germinate. I was going to put some more seed back here, and I still might. I'm not really sure, because this is where a lot of the starts are going to go for the fall garden, so I'm not really sure if I want to. But I did want to show you that a lot of the green beans did germinate back here. They're not ready to be picked yet, but they did germinate, and that makes me very happy. So hopefully we'll have some green beans to harvest in the next couple of weeks. And then just to kind of tell you guys, because I know last week I told you there was a rattlesnake back here. So this is where it actually slithered. It slithered down this path and then it went all the way over there, and we found it by the cantaloupe. Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm like ultra, not paranoid, but if I hear a little something, I'm like always looking around where I'm stepping, especially because I know it's copperhead mating season right now, and I do not want to step on a snake. So I'm very careful back here and pretty much everywhere, but that's an update. And then down there are 2 pallets of the tomatoes. So we'll harvest a couple of those when we go down there. All right, since I was right here, I am going to briefly talk about this new trellising system and harvest just a couple of tomatoes before we come over here and harvest a little bit of the cucumbers and green beans. But I have really loved having this. I'm really glad my husband built this because it has been very helpful for my back as far as not having to strain myself bending over in any way, because I'm trying to be very careful with how I move in the garden. But for the most part, I feel like this has done really good. I think just from what I grew on here, which is a lot of bush tomatoes, plum tomatoes, Ace 55, Floridate, I believe, is back there. You can see there's actually quite a bit of tomatoes right there that we're going to go harvest. But I think for the most part did really well. This is a lot of jicama, which is a root, I call it a root summer crop. That's not going to be harvested until the fall time, but I'm pretty happy with everything. I will say one thing I'm a bit disappointed with is the loofahs. So those did not do very well for me this year, and I'm not really sure why, but I'm of course going to try again next year, and then I'll probably harvest that gourd either later this week or the next garden tour, because I'm starting to lose light and I want to focus on getting the tomatoes. So before we go over there, I'm going to go and grab those tomatoes, and then we will go and harvest the cucumbers. All right, so over here are a lot of green beans. Now, last year I harvested, I felt like, a lot of green beans from here. Now this year I did a lot of different varieties, and I feel like because of the heat that we had, I didn't get as much as I was hoping for. But then again, sometimes you can see right here, sometimes green beans surprise me and they come back and give me a ton very quickly. So we're gonna go ahead, and I also have some over here. I'm gonna go ahead and just harvest a whole bunch of green beans and then show you what I got. All right, so far, these are all the green beans that I got just from this little section and that bag down there. But I did wanna show you, look at how gorgeous some of these purple green beans are. I don't know if you can see those flowers. Look at how pretty that is. So these are the purple dove. They are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish harvesting the rest. By the way, since we're over here on this side, I am gonna go ahead and grab this cucumber because it is ready to harvest. And actually I am going to grab that one as well, only because the worms got to it. And I don't, yeah, this one's okay, this is garbage. That's okay, it happens. I've been getting such a good amount of cucumbers this summer, so I expected this to happen. By the way, this tomato plant that is literally growing out of my ground has been giving me a lot of tomatoes, and of course, like I always do, I put them at the bottom of my shirt. So I had to grab these real quick before we get the rest of the green beans. All right, so here's all the green beans that I got from this side of the bed and that bag. And you guys, there's still a lot of buds and a lot of little green beans you can see right there. So we will be harvesting a lot in the next week or so. But now let's talk about the cucumbers since we are on this side. So you can see a lot of it looks dead. All that beautiful greenery is just, it's looking dead. But here's how I feel when it comes to cucumbers. There's actually some new, you can see a lot of new growth, and there's a few spots. So even though a vine looks like nothing's happening, like I'll give you an example. You see they're still green, but if you follow it, it just looks like nothing's going on. But as they're over the trellis, there are new vines that are growing. And you guys, in my personal opinion, I worked really hard to grow these. And so my hope right now is to just get as many cucumbers. I'm not going to touch this trellis probably until sometime in September-ish, because I think my next goal is to plant the snap peas in here, which I plan to start in the garage as I was sharing. But for right now, I'm gonna let these keep going, because you'll see on the other side, there's a few babies that are growing. And I'm hoping to get a couple more cucumbers in the next month, hopefully. And this one right here got jammed. Now, I am going to say that I did start some seed a while back to try to get a second planting of green beans, listen to me, of cucumbers. I don't know how much that's gonna work out. If it doesn't, it's perfectly fine. I feel like I've gotten a really good fill. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Oh, hold on, let's see. Okay, look at you. That's funny. When they want to grow, they're going to grow. So, like I said, I'm just going to try to get as many as I can, because, for instance, you can see, hopefully you can see this little one right here, and there's still a lot of little babies that are growing. And so I don't want to take those off in hopes that I can get a few more cucumbers. And you can see there's two more right here, although you can see there's a hole right here. That is definitely a caterpillar, or whatever those cucumber things are. Now, here's my thoughts on this, you guys. So when I see that, and I see that it's not fully grown, I'll let it grow. And sometimes when I am ready to harvest it, I will chop off a good chunk of that, and the rest of the cucumber is perfectly fine. So I have done that before, and so I'm just gonna let that one stay. And let's just see if there is any more. And see, look, you can see there's a little baby. You see all this little new growth right here? That's what I'm talking about. So that's why I don't want to get rid of these plants. Now, if you've also been following my videos, you'll know that a cucumber plant was literally growing out of the ground, and you can see it definitely took a turn for the worst. It's dying, and we do have a few to harvest. But then you see the new growth right here? Do you see that? So I may come out here and cut off some of the dead vine as long as it doesn't mess with the newer vine. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing, but I just don't want to get rid of anything if it's going to still produce food for me, because, you know, I worked really hard. Summer garden, I feel like, is the one season that I work the hardest because it is the longest, and I don't want to pull them out just yet. Look at these two little lovebirds. I love it. I'm gonna go in here and grab some green beans because I am starting to lose lighting. And then, you guys, I am gonna give you a very quick update on the tomatoes, and I am just going to harvest as much as I can. And then, you guys, even the GREENSTALK has a bunch of green beans. Look at those. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest those too. Now, I do wanna quickly mention, I did start some green beans. I actually moved those from the other GREENSTALK I have back here. So I think now all of these pockets are filled, including the green one back there. Look at all the yellow ones too, you guys. Those are so pretty. I'm absolutely loving this GREENSTALK. All right, so here's what we're going to do, because it's almost like this amber kind of gray sky, even though I know it's not really time for it to get dark. If the sun was out, we would have beautiful lighting, but it just seems like every time I do my garden tours, you guys, I get some gray skies. I mean, it's a great atmosphere to be outside and work right now and hearing the outside nature and stuff, but I don't want it to get too blurry on you guys. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just give you updates on what it is that I'm doing and what I plan to do. And then I'm gonna harvest all of the tomatoes, and then we're gonna go in my garage and I'm gonna show you everything that I harvested this week. So these two beds have just gotten absolutely massive. It may not look like it on screen, but these are, when I tell you incredibly tall, my little two-step ladder is not gonna cut it. I'm gonna have to bring out this ladder right here at some point later this week, and if I do, I will insert a clip into this video so you can see. A bunch of Kentucky Wonders are in there, and then you can still see I'm getting a lot of plum tomatoes, so I do have to go in here and take care of that. Now, these are my this bed, and I want to say that bed adjacent to it. So these two beds are all the different varieties of plum tomatoes. I'm still getting tomatoes, you guys. You can see obviously down here it looks pretty dead. And then, as you know, tomato plants, they still grow on the top. And so what I've been doing is just allowing it to kind of bend down so that I can at least grab them if any more grows. And my goal is just to keep all of these in here for now until I figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing. And then these are my bags of tomatoes. These are doing really good, and I am going to harvest a few of these plum tomatoes as well. And then this lovely bed that you see all of the kind of like sandwich tomatoes, I guess, a lot of my Martha F1s, old Germans, this is doing really good, and the other bed that has these is doing good, and I'm going to harvest from those as well. And then, as I said, these two pallets back here have some plum tomatoes that I'm going to be grabbing. And then these two pallets, I will say they haven't been my favorite this year, but this is brand new soil in these bags. Typically brand new soil doesn't produce as much as I've had, you know, in my experience, it just hasn't produced as much. So I'm hoping by next year it'll get a lot better. But we do have one, and I have kind of harvested quite a bit. Definitely some basil for sure. You can see the basil is doing amazing. And then my really large bags of tomatoes back here have been doing really good. Of course, you guys, my favorite is Martha F1s. They do so good all the time. They're good producers, and they make me really happy. I'm going to actually just share a little bit of my thoughts about the Martha F1s and some of the F1s that I purchased, because they are expensive seed, but they are definitely worth it in my opinion. All right, and then lastly, because I am definitely losing lighting, These right here are doing absolutely amazing. So I have a lot of green beans, peppers, and tomatoes. But do you guys remember the snacking cucumbers over here that weren't doing the best? All right, friends, it's getting really dark out. I'm trying to show you all of my snacking cucumbers in these bags. I don't know if you guys remember those, but I didn't think they were doing anything. Now they're actually giving me cucumbers, so I'm super excited about that. And then I do have two more cantaloupes that are growing. And then this trellis behind me, if you remember me sharing that with you before with my cherry tomatoes, I actually really have enjoyed this trellis for the tomatoes. I do plan to do that again with cherry tomatoes, but I think what I'm going to be doing for the fall is putting a bunch of snap peas over there because I think it would be amazing. I do want to get another trellis though, because I think this is really, really nice. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and harvest the rest of the tomatoes, and then we're going to go in the garage and I'm going to show you everything that we harvested. All right, before I shut the camera off out here, I just had to show you this cantaloupe. Look at how beautiful that is with the evening lighting. I believe this is the golden honeymoon, if I remember. I didn't think I was going to get anything from this, you guys, but I am. And I cannot wait to harvest that with you all. All right, friends, we're now inside. It just got too dark because we had some beautiful gray clouds coming in. It was actually quite breezy and it was really nice outside. I actually didn't want to go back inside because it just felt really nice for a change because it's been so incredibly hot and humid. But I just went ahead and I harvested the rest of what I could. And now let's go ahead and see what we harvested. Let's go ahead and see what we got as far as the peppers. So this week I feel like we got a really good amount of peppers. My goal is to, at the very least, every week have a good consistency of peppers and cucumbers, while the tomatoes I want to grow as much as I can to save for salsas and sauces. But overall, I'm very happy with the harvest, especially the bell peppers, you guys. Those have been my favorite because they're very expensive in the store, in my opinion, whether they're organic or not. They're just super expensive. So to have that every week for my family has been a huge money saver budget-wise. And then we also have some serranos. By the way, you guys, if you know of a really good recipe for serrano salsa, please leave them down below, because between last year's harvest and this year's harvest, I can make a very large batch of serrano salsa. So if you know of any, please leave them down below. Now let's look at all the green beans. So you guys, look at this basket full of green beans. It's pretty much full. And then, you guys, I thought I was only gonna fill that basket, but then I had to go get the other basket to fill up the green beans, and there's still a lot more. Sometimes it's funny with me. Sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, I don't really think that there's a lot growing, or maybe I didn't plant enough, and then they start to grow, and then I start to harvest, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. So I'm very happy that I was able to harvest some more. I do plan to go back out in that larger bed like I had showed you to get more of the Kentucky Wonders. I did actually harvest quite a bit of Kentucky Wonders when I was out there because I couldn't help myself. But I do plan to go out there with the ladder and try to get as many green beans as I can from the Kentucky Wonders. It's kind of funny because if you remember, if you had seen my videos a few months back, I had a major Japanese beetle issue on those leaves, and I wasn't really sure if they were going to make it back, but they did. They did last year. I kind of had a feeling they would, but you never know. And now they're growing wild. In fact, I think the plants that are on that trellis is the largest, even from last year. I think it's even larger than last year and higher than last year. So I feel like I'm going to have to go out there for just a couple of hours just to try to harvest and get in there, because I'm going to have to be really careful on the ladder. But with that being said, I'm very excited about all the green beans that I harvested, but more that are growing on all the bushes. All right, friends, I had to drop the camera down just a little bit so I can show you. So we're going to focus on the tomatoes and cucumbers now. So I like to divide my tomatoes. These are more like the larger kind of sandwich tomatoes, I like to call them, but this is a lot of Martha F1s, Old German, and I want to say Abe Lincoln. We've got cream sausage. There's just so many different varieties, and I'm really happy with what I've harvested this year, way better than last year. And then I do have all of my cherry tomatoes. Now, something I want to point out to you, if you see these kind of drier, I I've got one hand to touch the camera, so hopefully you can see these in focus. So these are the Kentucky Wonder green beans. They started getting kind of wilty and icky. Now, what I like to do, usually when I'm done harvesting, I will just let these dry in the vines. That's what you normally want to do. But because I still want them to grow, I went ahead and picked those off, and I'll just leave these in my garage and hopefully they'll dry out so I can save seed from them. If they don't, it's not a big deal. I'll just leave some on the vines in a couple of weeks. And then of course the cucumbers, you guys, like I said, I am just so happy between cucumbers and peppers. I feel like I've had a really good consistency each week, which makes me very happy. And then just to finish off with the cucumbers, these cucumbers are actually the ones that I picked off the trellises, the folding trellises that I had put in the grow bags. And I really thought, you guys, I was not going to get any cucumbers. But then they started growing, and I've already picked a few of them. But here's what I will say that I've noticed with these over here, and they're starting to happen on the other trellis too, which is normal. But if you can see that hole right here, I don't know if you can see that hole right here, but those are basically, and I think I mentioned this earlier, those are basically like cucumber worms. And so usually when that happens, I'll still pick it or I'll let it grow on the vine. And as I said before, I will just wait when I bring it in the house. I will cut it off and kind of keep cutting to see if the other end is okay. And if the other end is okay, I personally will eat it. So that's just what I do, but I just want to share that with you. And in fact, when I was out there, that end was really bad, but do you see how good that looks right there? Now, of course, I'm going to cut into that a little bit more, but that just kind of gives you an example of the rest of this cucumber is probably more than likely okay. So I just wanted to share that with you just in case, because I know when I first started gardening, I was like, oh, this is gross. And then I wouldn't really think to keep the whole cucumber, but I'm like, you know what? If it's only chomping the end of it, but the rest of it's okay, then why throw it away? So just wanted to share that real quick. But overall, I'm really happy to see that they were actually starting to grow, because last year, these snacking cucumbers, which I believe are a lot of F1 snacking ones, I can't think of the names right now, but they didn't do the best. So I'm like, okay, let me try it again, because obviously I have the seed. And so this year they actually surprised me. So I'll probably finish them off next year and put them back in the grow bags again. All right, friends, now for my favorite part. I mean, they're all my favorite, but you guys, the plum tomatoes are absolutely my favorite just because of what I make, the salsa, and then hopefully some spaghetti and pizza sauce this year. You guys, look at all these plum tomatoes. I am so super excited. The other thing I want to point out to you is for the first time, I think these are striped Romas. No, not striped. I can't think of the name, you guys, I'm sorry, but they're like little baby Romas. So I am saving those in its own little gallon bag, and I might toss them in here or make a freezer meal. I am not sure what I'm gonna do with them, but they're doing very good and they're producing a lot on the vines. So here's all the plum tomatoes, and I am very excited about this. Well, friends, before I end the video, I do want to continue to encourage you with your garden. I know at this point, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, that at the end of August, beginning of September, I am exhausted, but I feel like every time I go out there every week and I start to harvest and I start to look at the things that continue to grow, it just continues to bless me and encourages me to keep going, even though everything just looks so dead, and it kind of makes me want to just rip everything out. I try to just enjoy these last couple of weeks while planning for the fall garden and looking forward to that. I'm also still trying to enjoy the summer garden and stay encouraged, which is why you see that I still pretty much have everything back there, because it is still producing food, which is why the biggest reason why I garden is to grow food for myself and my family. And so I just want to continue to encourage you that just to keep going, you got this, and I'm rooting for you all the way. So friends, with that being said, I just want you to know how much I look forward to these garden tours and harvest every single week, because not only does it encourage me, but my hope is to really encourage and inspire all of you. And I just want you to know that I appreciate every single one of you. I look forward to seeing you all next time. And always remember this, friends. I want you to be encouraged, stay encouraged, and always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.